broken body behind to rot, he did not abandon Rafel, and with each death, each swallowed morsel of himself, Morg grew stronger and more confident. At long last, ragged and dirty and exhausted, they'd reached lost Durrana, that almost mythical land for which his dead father had spent a lifetime pining. And 24 days after crossing his ancestral land's almost extinct magical border, they reached Elvado, the city of mages, Durrana's cradle of knowledge. It was a wasteland, smashed to ruins in the Great Mage War and never rebuilt. There'd been no one left to rebuild it. Morg said carelessly, "I killed everyone who opposed me, you see. In the end, there was no one left." He'd shrugged. "It was better that way. I do my best work alone." Arlen rode through the haunted silence with his eyes closed. Unmoved by Elvado's profligate destruction, Morg took his captives to an ancient, magically preserved mansion some 3 leagues distant from the city. "My once and future home," he called it. There he set them to airing and cleaning the chambers and corridors, grooming the estate's grounds and taming its fields and orchards. Forbidden to use magic, Arlen toiled alongside the other prisoners and made sure to keep his offended feelings hidden. 9 days later, just after sunrise, another witless soul arrived, answering Morg's summons like a dog obeying its master's shrill whistle. And now the man was dying. This one was young, barely escaped from boyhood, with light brown hair and not much chin, peach fuzz on his cheeks, and a voice that remained lodged in his throat, though by the time Morg was done with him, like all the others, he'd have screamed it right out. Arlen felt unwelcome fingers pluck at his sleeve, stirring him from memory and sour contemplations. "Arlen!" The whisperer was Fernal Pinty, who insisted on treating him with a loathsome familiarity, and was so afraid of Morg he had no fear to spare for anyone else, which meant there was no way to stop him from being familiar short of murder. But murdering Fernal Pinty was out of the question. Morg had a use for him, so Pinty must stay alive. "Arlen!" He snatched his arm free. "What?" Fernal Pinty wasn't faring well. After so many months of strenuous captivity, he was a loose collection of bones, draped in folds of sallow skin. Being Olkin and inferior, even though he was useful, he was not treated kindly. "Arlen," Pinty whispered, "how much stronger will this new death make the sorcerer?" "How should I know?" he said, making sure to keep his voice soft. "Why don't you ask him?" Fernal Pinty flinched as though he'd been struck with a whip. "You're a bastard." "Pinty, be quiet," he said, impatient. "You think because he's killing someone he won't hear your rattling tongue?" Flinching again, Pinty shut his mouth. They stood in the underground chamber below the mansion that Morg had chosen for his arcane slaughters. For some reason, the sorcerer liked them to witness these monstrous deaths, him and Fernal Pinty and the other 3 Olkin whose names he'd not bothered to learn, and Rafel's idiot friend Goose. Why Morg kept that half-wit alive he couldn't begin to understand. Unless it's to torment Rafel. And torment him it would, if he truly was still alive and aware within the cage of his body. But I'll not lose sleep over that. If anyone deserves some torment, it's Rafel. And why would Morg be merciful? Rafel's father murdered him. He must want his sweet revenge. Peach Fuzz's skin was peeling off his naked body now, rotting strips of human hide sliding from blood and pus-slicked muscle, as though he were already a week-old corpse. Pinty was retching. He always did at this point. Rafel's idiot friend was grunting like a pig. The others controlled their bellies, but they were snuffling, weeping. Good thing I'm made of sterner stuff. As the last surviving Durranan in this forsaken place, I do have a position to maintain. Morg's stolen face was a mask of physical pleasure as he consumed another lost and found sliver of his